And now, around the world and around the corner, it's the David Bowers Awards, bringing the best in indie music to millions of listeners worldwide with your host, the David Bowers. We've got a fantastic lineup of guests, as well as our engineer extraordinaire, Nick the Geek, our entire crew here at the Asylum, and me. I'm John Bon Jovial. And now, here's the voice of indie music, the David Bowers.
Well, thank you very much, John Bon Jovial. That's the legendary John Bon Jovial, folks. And welcome back here for another go-round of the David Bowers Awards. And this week, we have a special show in that we're doing an encore performance with the guests from the Americana Kitchen album. If you missed the first time around, stay tuned. You're going to like this because it is a compendium of the styles of music that made Americana music, for everything from country to rock to blues, all inclusive, like this number right here, Francesca Capasso and Living Out Loud.
Before I'm through, yeah. Living out loud, no time to fake it. Living out loud, still time to make it. Living out loud, you ain't gonna break it. Oh, yeah. Some people lose today, thinking about tomorrow. Someone takes it away, now you have to borrow. You're gonna do it right, better follow me. Oh yeah, living out loud, no time to fake it. Living out loud, still time to make it. Living out loud, you ain't gonna break it.
the amazing album Americana Kitchen. That's Francesca Capasso. It's called Living Out Loud, in case you didn't guess. And we've got a lot more coming up, including we're going to be talking to Fran in just a few minutes here. I do want to do our normal hellos to our listeners around the world and in Rochester, New York, who listen on our flagship FM station, WRFZ, FM 106.3 in Rochester, New York. Welcome aboard. Also want to say hello to Mary Perry up there in Rochester, who underwrites the David Bowers Awards on Rochester Free Radio. Thank you so much, Mary. We do appreciate your support, and we thank you and all of our listeners in Rochester. And we want to, of course, welcome our listeners around the world and our wonderful co-host here, the legendary John Bon Jovial. How you doing this week, John?
Oh, legendary as always. Things are finally cooling off here in the swamp. We've got some decent weather, so we don't have to put up with the helicopter-sized mosquitoes anymore, which is kind of a pleasure. And so after being off for a couple of weeks here, we are ready and raring to go with another great show, and it's really nice to have the Americana Kitchen album as a feature again this week here on the You Know Who Awards program, which just happens to be named after you. Coincidentally.
Because it's always an award show, because there are so many award shows, and we're getting into award season now. And for those of you who missed out on it, we did that because there are so many award shows. We just decided to make every show an award show. And that way, everyone who appears on our show is an automatic award winner. No silly nominations or phony voting or anything like that. If you do something great or something stupid related to music, you get an award. Simple and easy as that. So if you've got somebody you think deserves an award for something great or stupid, drop us a line, David at TheDavidBowersAwards.com. I'm sorry, I always do that. The address is David at TheDavidBowers.com. Period. That's the way it is. Okay? So drop me a line. Hey, maybe we'll use your award on the air, or maybe I'll trip over the cue card and mess the whole thing up. Who knows? Anyways, we've got some great guests with us, including a couple of artists from the Americana Kitchen albums. We're going to get right to them right now. First off, we're going to bring on the man who put it all together, Danny Johnson from Southern California. Come on in here and say hello, Danny.
Hey, guys. Happy New Year. How are you?
Hey, Happy New Year to you. Doing fine. Thank you so much. And welcome back on the show for a second go-round with the Americana Kitchen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. And I'm excited that Fran is calling in. And I'm pretty sure Benny Cortez is going to be calling in as well.
Yes, they are both here, ready and waiting, so we're going to keep things moving right along. For the listeners that might have missed it the first time around, kind of summarize what you've done here with this Americana Kitchen album. It's called Come and Get It. The group is Americana Kitchen. I'll let you kind of summarize it, Dan.
Yeah, sure. So there's a small community surrounding Los Angeles called San Gabriel Valley. And there's a lot of musical talent. I mean, the guys from Los Lobos live here, a couple of guys from Fabulous Thunderbirds, Oingo Boingo, some of which played on the CD. And what we wanted to do was I wanted to do a project showcasing all their talent and utilize as many good singers and players as I could on Volume 1. So we decided to make an American Roots album covering jazz, blues, rock, country, bluegrass, rockabilly, zydeco, anything that covers under the blues or the American heritage sort of influence. And it's pretty eclectic. So side 1 is electric and contemporary. Side 2 is unplugged or using native instruments and acoustics, and has kind of a country feel. And I'm really glad it turned out really, really, really well. I'm really happy and proud of it.
It really did, and we are probably almost as excited as you are about that. We're going to talk to Fran in just a moment, but before we do, one last thing before we move on to that feature. Tell the folks where they can find the album and the details how to get a copy.
Yep, we're going to be loading it up on CD Baby, Amazon.com, and iTunes. But for the moment, we kept it in-house at our own website so we can control it through the first of the year, and that would be at www.americanakitchenmusic.com. Thanks for the plug.
www.americanakitchenmusic.com. Okay, great.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
bring Fran in here and get to know her. Hello, Fran.
Hi, Happy New Year, David.
Happy New Year to you. So glad to have you here on the show. I hope I came from an Italian-oriented city, Rome, New York, and so I'm familiar with Italians, but I also like to make sure I pronounce the names right because I know there can be more than one pronunciation. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did exactly the way I would pronounce it, Francesca Capasso. Of course, my Italian relatives would say, and my Italian friends would say, Francesca Capasso. So that's like the way
believe me.
when I introduce myself, I pronounce it just like you do. And I was so impressed. I'm like, wow, she got my name right. Thank you. Appreciate it. I really do.
Oh, you're welcome. I try real hard. As a matter of fact, I usually try to talk to the guests ahead of time. We got a little hectic this time, but I'd like to at least pronounce their names right. And while we're talking background, I want to mention also that Danny was talking about Southern California. I spent close to 30 years in that very area that he's speaking of, the San Gabriel Valley. So I'm familiar with the area, the multitude of great musicians that have come out of there and still are. As a matter of fact, I worked with some at a nightclub in Pasadena for 5, 6, 7 years. How long I was there? Quite a number of years. I got to work with a bunch of the musicians from Southern California. It is a hotbed of the whole Southern California area is. And,
yes,
sure is. We're just so happy and proud to have a few of you here with us. Fran, tell us a little bit about your contribution to this album.
Wow. Well, I got a call from Danny a couple years ago and asked me to come and sing on a couple songs. And then I got to his home studio, and then he explained to me his concept. And I just got really big eyes and very excited because I was born and raised in Texas. My father's from New York. And he loved Texas, and he loved country music, and he loved folk music and roots music. So I grew up listening to that. Just you would hear it anyway on the radio in Texas, and then started listening to more soul music and to blues music. And so this whole concept that Danny had of, this Americana Kitchen with all the different genres that fall under Americana roots music just was, it was just so exciting for me because as it turned out that I ended up not just singing on 2 songs, but what was it, a total of 7, Danny?
7.
8?
I think 7 total. 7. Yeah, 7 or 8.
7
yeah,
total.
It was a lot, the most.
And what's so exciting to me is that because I am influenced by so many different genres of, great American music, I was like a kid in a candy store being able to sing a country song and then a jazz song or blues, rock. It was a thrill. And when I got the CD in my hot little hand, I was like, wow, what a gem. and Danny really spent a lot of time, first and foremost, just composing the songs. And that was like what blew me away in the beginning was like, wow, my friend, you got some great songs here. And when I really got a chance to really listen, outside of the studio when I had the CD in my hand, when I was listening to it, I could, all the lyrics, all the cute lyrics that he wrote and clever lyric. And I thought, I'm a songwriter and I know what it takes to, it takes a long time to write a good song. Or maybe not always. Sometimes everything comes to you in one different
Sometimes it just hits you, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it's coming from, another place. But in any case, I was just really, really impressed with just the quality of the songs that, there was just so much time put into
the whole thing.
The composing
yeah, the whole
of it.
Thing
and then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the whole thing from the concept to the songwriting to the production to the artists that he was able to get, like you and Benny, who's going to be joining us in a few minutes.